Hello and welcome to Good Game Spawn Point, the show for gamers, by gamers. I'm Barjo.
And I'm Hex.
And I am Darren, the data-analyzing robot for the ruthless extermination of noobs.
Yes, thank you, Darren, for your very long and complicated explanation of your name.
My pleasure, Barjo. It's always good to remind everyone of my capabilities.
Coming up on the show, we take to the track with the very serious racing action of Grid Autosport.
Vroom, vroom, vroom!
We'll also take our heroes on some epic quests in the mobile RPG Battleheart Legacy.
But first, Darren, your challenge, please.
Affirmative, Hex. Load up your central brain processing unit, spawnlings. It's time for Darren's challenge! This week, I'm asking you to name the famous game designer who developed the original Civilization game.
Oh, Darren, I know this one! I'm gonna say it right now.
Barjo, keep it to yourself until the end of the show.
That's right, now it's time for the news with Goose.
Affirmative.
Thanks, guys. Goose here with all the gaming news from around the globe. Have you ever wondered how far our favourite Italian plumber travels in the original Super Mario Bros? No? Well, someone did. By assuming Mario was the height of an average adult male, an enthusiast was able to calculate that Mario travels approximately 5.5 kilometres to get to the final castle. Phew, what a workout! And it's official, there are now more people playing Minecraft on console than on both Mac and PC combined. Minecraft's developer Mojang also reported that almost 54 million copies have been purchased, making it the third highest selling game of all time behind Wii Sports and Tetris. And that's all the news for this week. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Goose. All right, spawnlings, it's time to rev up your engines and push the line in Grid Autosport! Vroom, 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 vroom!
Grid Autosport is brought to us by Codemasters, who also make the Dirt series. Their games are always a lot of fun, aren't they, Barjo?
Yeah, they are, Hex. They always hit that perfect spot between arcade and simulation, a perfect balance of precision and difficulty. In my opinion, I think they're actually on par with the likes of Forza and the Need for Speed series.
Grid Autosport is a sidestep of sorts for the franchise. We leave the more arcade and exciting variety of tracks the series is known for to focus down on the challenge of perfecting your driving skills around circuit races.
The campaign is broken up into 5 categories. Open wheel, which is about fast, fragile, high-performance racing. Street racing, which is tight corners on city tracks. Touring cars see some aggressive rough and tumble events. Tuner lets you get your drift on. And the long races of endurance. And this is my favorite, guys, because you need to worry about tyre wear. If you push too hard early on, then your tyres will lose all their traction. This can make the late stages of these long events very tricky because you can't take too many risks or you'll just spin out.
I liked Endurance too, Barjo. The night setting is quite pretty at times, plus the fireworks are delightfully distracting. Surprisingly though, my favourite discipline was open wheel. Usually these high-performance cars are really hard to handle and I end up just spinning out and crashing. But it wasn't like that this time.
Affirmative. One of the most impressive parts of this game is how well the vehicles handle, and you especially notice it in these open-wheel events. However, spawnlings should be warned that this is not an easy game, but there are a few things you can do to help get you through. Are you listening, Barjo?
Yes?
Good, because I see you need this advice. If you drop the difficulty down to easy, it's possible to start in last place and then work your way through the pack slowly. Turning on the driving line also gives you an indicator for when you should slow down to take a corner. The line gives you the perfect angle to turn in and out of a corner.
I always think I can make that turn and I ignore the line and then I end up crashing.
Trust the line, Hex. Trust the line. I'd also recommend turning on traction control, which helps with spin-outs. And there are many other assists too, but most of all, it's avoiding hitting or bumping into other cars that will see you to victory. A slight bump in a circuit racer like this costs you dearly. Barjo.
Hey, it's just my racing style. I like to use the other vehicles as my brakes.
Well, you need to be careful if you play aggressively. There are consequences. Autosport features a damage system which affects how you drive. So, for example, if you have a big crash, you run the risk of damaging your steering. This means it's harder to make turns for the rest of the race. Luckily, the game features a rewind system which lets you go back in time. Woo! That way you can avoid any nasty mistakes after they've happened. Time travel!
I do think the circuits get a bit repetitive over time, though. They're just not as exciting compared to more arcadey racing games. I think to really enjoy this game, you have to be the kind of gamer that just loves perfecting a lap, so this won't be for everyone. But where this game really shines is online.
That's right. Even though the offline artificial intelligence is actually pretty incredible, online races are super tense. Human players are much more unpredictable and aggressive, which leads to some very scary race starts as you try to avoid the inevitable collision ahead. And of course, you can't rewind time online, so any damage you incur really matters.
Thankfully, there's a derby mode which lets you blow off some steam. Driving my car into other cars. La 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 la. Just like Gary Newman. Crashing!
I'm also happy that split screen is in every version of this game. That's such a rarity nowadays. What are you going to give it overall, Hex?
Well, this is not a game for everyone, and I think the massive campaign just didn't really reward me enough to make me want to go back to it. But if you like these kinds of races, I think it's really well made, so I'm giving it a 7.
I actually enjoyed this much more than I thought I would. I just found so much satisfaction in even overtaking just 1 or 2 cars in a race, so I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Barger, we get a lot of questions from spawnlings asking how they can get started in games development.
Indeed we do, Hex. And Goose has teamed up with Julian, who we featured on the show a little while back, in a new series to show you how to make your own games.
Take it away, Goose and Julian.
Thanks, guys. Well, Julian, it's great to have you back on the show.
My pleasure.
Now, for any of you spawnlings out there eager to get your hands into some games development, Julian and I will be taking you through a series of lessons on how to code your very own game. So, Julian, what program are we going to use?
Goose, we'll be using Scratch. It's a free, easy-to-use software with which you can make games and cartoons. You don't need to learn fancy code. You make programs by dragging and dropping modules.
Firstly, before you begin, head to our website here and either download Scratch or load it up in your browser. Now, how about a quick tour, Julian?
Sure. These program blocks control the game characters, which are called sprites. You can change the backgrounds too with scripts. As you can see, the program modules are color-coded.
The light brown objects on the control menu affect time, events, stopping the program, and broadcasting.
The dark blue motion menu handles rotating, walking, and changing the direction.
And the light green blocks on the operators panel take over calculations that need to be made. For instance, if your lives reach 0. Now, shall we do a short program first, just to warm up a bit?
Good idea. To start, go to File and create a new project. By default, it will start with one sprite already selected. Scratch the cat. Let's make him take a step and say meow.
Click on Sprite 1 in the Sprites box, then under the Scripts tab, select Events, and then drag the When Green Flag Clicked block into the Scripts panel on the right.
Now click on Motion and drag the first block. Move 10 steps and slot it in below the green flag block.
Ah, they snap together automatically.
That they do. Now go to Control and drag the block, wait 1 sec, below Move 10 steps. That's a little long. Let's click on that and change it to ½ a second or 0.5.
Now let's add a sound. You can import any sounds you like, but we'll use a stock option. Play sound, meow. The first option from the purple sound menu.
Finally, we'll send Scratch the cat back to where he started. Go back to the dark blue motion tab and pop a Move 10 steps tab on the bottom. Now add a minus sign in there so that he moves backwards. If your move block doesn't say -10, retype it.
All the sprites are on an invisible grid, and you alter the X and Y values to move them around. There's a counter on the right that shows Scratch the Cat's X and Y coordinates.
That's right, Goose. Now click on the green flag to test your program.
Ah, it works!
Well done, Goose. You've taken your first step.
Awesome! Well, that brings us to the end of part 1. Next time, Julian and I will begin work on the Good Game Spawn Point Invaders game. If you'd like to learn along with us, we'll be uploading all the info you need on the Good Game Spawn Point website here. So until next time, Goose out.
Julian out.
Thanks, Goose and Julian. We'll be playing the rest of the series in upcoming episodes.
Affirmative. But now you two have to go and answer some questions. If you get any tricky questions, I'm always here to help.
All right, you ready to get stuck into some questions, Barjo?
Yes, I am, Hex. Who's up first?
Okay, well, how about we go with this one from Daniel, who is in Melbourne, Victoria. Hi, GGSP. I have SimCity and I need help. Please answer. Okay, I don't know why, but with the money I'm making is not good. I'm losing 7,000 simoleons every hour. This is an issue that needs to be fixed or I'll become a noob. You guys are the best. P.S. Tell Darren that he will be a mega noob. Thanks.
Well, Daniel, creating a healthy, balanced economy can be tricky, but here are a few tips. Firstly, make sure you don't have way too many services draining your accounts. Buildings like schools, police stations, parks, and hospitals all chew up considerable amounts of money.
Also, you might want to consider putting taxes up just a little bit. A tiny increase in tax generally won't bother the people too much, and they can be enough to put your economy back on track.
Yes, and of course, make sure you've got a few profitable buildings working for you. Manufacturing things like electronics and TVs can really rake in the dosh. Although it's worth noting you can have a city that says it's losing cash every hour, even though it's exporting enough goods to be making a profit.
Yeah, so make sure you look at your city's balance details to see how much you're actually making. But good luck with it, Daniel. Let's move on now to this one from Bailey is Awesome, who is in Glanville, South Australia.
Hi, Good Game SP. I would like to ask you a few questions, but I want Barjo the face there to answer. It's okay. 1. Why did they make a 2DS? 2 is Trials Fusion on the Xbox 360, because I can't find it. 3. Why did they stop making Portal? 2 and 1. 4. How do you get past a level on Limbo, because I'm stuck on the boss? 5. Can you show some games that will be great for the Xbox 360 in this year and next year? I really hope you answer these questions. Barjo, do these. Hex, do these. And Darren is a noob. Don't tell him that. Bailey is awesome. Peace.
Well, Bailey, I think there were a couple of reasons why they made a 2DS. I think it was mostly because the 3D feature of the 3DS wasn't recommended for spawnlings under 6 years old, so they wanted to make a console that would be safe for everyone to use.
Yes, also it's made in a cheaper way than the 3DS, so they can lower the price. The less it costs, the more it sells. And yes, Trials Fusion is most definitely on 360. It's a downloadable game, so you'll need to look for it in the online store.
As for why they stopped making Portal 1 and 2, well, I guess because they finished development on both of those games and they wanted to release them so we could play them.
Indeed. Do you think maybe he means why aren't they making Portal 3?
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, the story did wrap up pretty nicely after Portal 2, but it's certainly possible they could be working on a new one, but I doubt it'll be coming out anytime soon. Also, Valve develops games at a really slow pace, so it could indeed still be a possibility.
That is correct. They could be working on it right now, Hex. Could be out tomorrow. But I doubt it. They do like to take their time, that's for sure. As for Limbo, well, I'm sorry, that's a mature-rated game, so we can't help you out with that one, unfortunately. But we can definitely mention a few promising-looking games coming to 360 in the future. Lego Batman 3 is one I'm obviously excited about.
Yeah, and there's also a new Skylanders and Disney Infinity game, and a new Forza Horizon, Costume Quest 2, sorry games.
And of course the usual slate of sports games like FIFA 15 and NBA 2K15. And if you're into your Kinect games, Just Dance 2015 and Disney Fantasia could be up your alley.
Also, one of my favourite Vita games, Tales from Space Mutant Blobs Attack, just came out for 360, so you might like that. Anyway, hopefully there's a few things to look forward to there, but let's move on to this one now from Noob Alarm, who is in Noob Police Headquarters in ACT. Beep, beep, wop, wop. Beep, beep, wop, wop. That particular sequence suggests the hosts of GGSP are mega noobs. To fix that and get your title as experienced gamers back, you have to clearly state in each episode what console each game you review is available on. If and when you do that, you will get no more visits from the noob police. Oh, and one more thing. To get out of jail from your previous crimes, classified information. You have to reveal to the spawnlings what the process is you go through to choose what questions get answered. The noob alarm will only stop ringing when you have met my requirements. Beep, beep, wop, wop, beep, beep, wop, wop.
Well, Noob Alarm, we do usually say in all of our reviews of gamers for mobiles or PC or consoles, and we put up a little information box such as this, which says what a game is rated and which platforms it's on, and if you missed the info there, you can always find it on our website.
What's that alarm for?
What's going on?
Warning! Warning! Incoming communication!
What is this? What is this madness? What is this?
Hello?
Oh, hello, Hex. I see you've received my message.
Darren, yes we did. This is some kind of giant stone, but it's got all weird scribbles like wingdings on it. What does it mean?
Actually, Bancho, those are hieroglyphs. They were one of the first forms of written language and were used over 5,000 years ago, most notably in ancient Egypt. They combine elements of pictures and phonetic sounds to convey their meaning.
Well, that's fantastic and all, Darren, but don't you think it's kind of pointless to communicate us in ways we can't understand?
Negative.
Well, don't you think you can maybe give us the short version then? That might be easier?
Oh, of course. It simply says that according to my analysis, several recent reviews have not featured an info box. There appears to have been some sort of technical error.
Oh, that's no good. Well, thanks for making that point, Darren.
Yeah.
Oh, my pleasure, Hex. Now I'm off to go practice my cursive hieroglyphics. Walk like an Egyptian.
Okay, well, bye, Darren. Bye.
Goodbye.
Just lift the fix.
All the fops at the donut shop say way.
Right, well, Noob Alarm, we will fix that info box for you post-haste. And as for how we choose questions, well, it's a pretty simple process, really. We essentially spend hours each week reading through all the emails we receive. Then we just pick ones that are interesting, and maybe if they're funny, that usually helps too.
There are a few other things that we look out for. Firstly, if we've answered the question before, then we probably won't answer it again, unless a lot of you are still asking about something in particular.
Also, we tend to avoid questions if they ask about mature games or if they're maybe a bit rude.
Indeed, so don't be rude, spawnlings. But anyway, on to this now from the Microsoft paperclip, who is in your computer, New South Wales. You gonna get rid of that?
Okay. Dear Good Game, I recently received a Wii U Mario Kart 8 bundle and it came with one choice of disc game. We chose Nintendo Land. And a downloadable game code for one of the following games. Nintendo Land, New Super Mario Bros. U, Game & Wario, Pikmin 3, The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker HD, Sonic Lost World, Mario and Sonic at the Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games, Wii Party U, The Wonderful 101, and Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. We still can't decide which one to get, and I would like your input on the best one of these to get. Thanks. Microsoft's Paperclip.
Well, there are some pretty decent games to choose from there, but personally I'd say it comes down to two choices really. Pikmin 3 or Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD. They're both great games, but Zelda might be better if you're looking for a longer kind of adventure game. However, Pikmin is great if you're after something that's more of a strategy style game.
Yes, The Wonderful 101 is pretty great too, definitely worth considering if you're after more of an action style game. Although, if I had to choose out of those three games, I would go with Wind Waker HD. It's definitely the longest game out of all of them and easily one of the best games on the Wii U.
Anyway, on that note, we're out of time for this week, but as always, if you'd like to ask us a question, then you can go here and send it in.
Okay. You know, sometimes my cats talk to me.
Really?
Yeah, you know what they say?
What?
They say,
Be food!
They do not. They just meow like normal.
good questions, yeah, good day.
See this, Bajo? This is all you need to save the world in Battleheart Legacy.
Battleheart Legacy is a single-player action RPG for iOS devices. You create a male or female hero and jump straight into the action. There's no lengthy intro to sit through, just a quick bit of training, and then you're free to venture forth and forge your own destiny.
The game is all controlled through simple one-touch commands, and it's great. You just tap once on the screen to walk to a spot, tap on an enemy to target them and start auto-attacking, and tap to select from your super skills at the bottom of the screen to perform special moves during combat. It's super streamlined.
Yeah, you can get stuck straight into the action. In fact, I would say that this game may very well be completely noob-proof.
Oh, affirmative! If the screen registers your tapping, I guess it's not so great for those of us with pasta scoops.
Yes, well, Darren, actually that poses an interesting philosophical question. If you were to play this game, would you in fact be noob
Negative. Negative.
Ponder on it.
Negative, 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 negative.
We should write a thesis
Negative,
on it.
negative, 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 negative.
Start my thesis on it tomorrow. Well, after a little bit of exploring, I'd uncovered heaps of locations on the map and had quite a few quests on the boil. I actually quite like that there was no huge story intro because you really do feel like you're creating the story at your own pace as you play this game.
And when you do encounter quest givers or townsfolk, it's cool that you have a few dialogue options too. There's polite, cheeky, or grumpy, so you can roleplay a personality and discover different outcomes to quests.
The style of hero you end up with is entirely of your own choosing. You begin as a blank slate and need to speak to different class trainers in nearby towns to acquire various special abilities and skills. These powers become key to winning battles, from wizard spells to barbarian strikes, and even ninja moves.
You can swap skills in and out. I went the path of a knight and stuck with melee moves, like being able to use shields and hit multiple enemies at once with a big sword swipe. But I did dabble with a few magic skills from other classes, like being able to charge my sword with flame and zap enemies with a shock of lightning.
Naturally, I created an archer, but I think it's good to mix up your skills as well. You need to keep in mind that certain skills require high numbers in some stats. Knights need high strength, for example, while wizards need high intelligence for magic. So when you level up and spend those stat points, you have to think hard about what skills you want to learn.
Yes, and the combat is surprisingly tactical because of it. Your skills need to recharge over time after you use them, so you really have to pick and choose when to use them in a fight. Positioning is important too, because sometimes you're getting hit with arrows or magic from afar while trying to trade blows with an enemy up close.
Or you get surrounded by multiple monsters and need to move around a bit to ensure you're making your combat powers more effective. Take that!
I did find the melee a bit annoying at times though, like how you can knock enemies back with a strike, which cancels your auto-attacking because they're a bit out of range.
Well, my character just switched to firing arrows. That's the benefit of a good bow, Barjo. I thought there was a good variety of monsters too. Bats, spiders, bandits, and blobs. Even a goofy cyclops or two. There are also a few bosses to put you to the test.
Yeah, those boss fights were tough. Like that pig rider who keeps spawning groups of grunts. I always found I was a bit underleveled for the fights and would have to go away and come back again later.
It's a shame there's little real punishment for dying, though. The game just dumps you back to the world map and you don't lose anything, which seems a bit too lenient to me.
What I liked is that you don't always have to play the honourable hero. You can double-cross characters and pinch the item you've been sent to fetch, or just outright play a shady mercenary who's only in it for themselves. Those choices just make the adventuring that much more fun.
I do wish there was a quest log though. Quite often I just have to wander around the map trying to find an encounter because I didn't really know where to go.
I did encounter 1 or 2 bugs in this game, but I really enjoyed the adventuring, so I'm giving it 7.5.
I think it's the perfect balance between fun and tactical combat, and also easy to use controls unless you're a robot with pasta scoop hands. I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Well, sadly, that's all the time we have for the show this week, but Darren, that means it's time for the answer to your challenge.
Affirmative, Hex. Earlier on the show, I asked you to name the person who designed the original Civilization game. The answer is, of course...
Sid Meier.
Thank you, Archo. Sid Meier. And Civilization was to become one of the most popular and successful strategy games of all time.
Good work, Darren. Excellent challenge, and not just because I knew the answer.
Well, I did make this week's question a little easier just for you, Barjo. You always seem so sad every time you can't answer a challenge correctly.
Well, next week on the show, we get muddy in the off-road driving sim Spin Tires.
Well, I look forward to getting into all of that dirt and mud. Until next time, Barjo out.
Hex out.
Darren out.